In your Unit 1 essay, you can use quotes from the readings that we've been doing. And so I wanted to give you a quick introduction, if you want to use the quotes from the article, on how to incorporate those into your essay in proper MLA format, right? So in a past video, I talked to you about formatting your page in MLA style, just like this. MLA also governs how you would put in citations in your essay. Citations means a quote from an article that you're using. So there are two parts to MLA style. And for this first essay, I'm only going to require you to do proper MLA in-text citations. I'm not going to require you to do a works cited page because we haven't talked about any of that yet. And it's a little bit more complicated. So mostly I just want you to make sure that when you use your sources that you properly cite them in your paper. So I have an example here of a couple body paragraphs I wrote. Now you see I did put them at the papers in proper MLA style. I didn't put a title on this because it's not a full essay yet, right? I just have a couple body paragraphs. So this first body paragraph is talking about learning from your mistakes and not giving up. I gave an example from my life here first, and then I wanted to quote from that Struggle Means Learning article that we just had read. So here's an example in bold of how I used a quote from this article. Right? So the first thing I did was I introduced the article. I said, in the article, Struggle Means Learning, Difference in Eastern and Western Cultures, Alex Spiegel interviewed Jim Stigler, a professor who studies learning. He found that in Eastern cultures, they value struggle as part of the learning process, whereas in Western culture, like the United States, we often see struggle as weakness. Okay, so you see, I'm kind of giving a quick little summary of the article so that the reader who maybe hasn't read this article would have some background. And then I go into the quote. And so when I then do the quote, I already introduced Alex Spiegel with her full name. So then any other time I use her name, I can just use the last name. So I say Spiegel said, and then I put in quotation marks the exact words. This is word for word that's from in that essay. Obviously, if struggle indicates weakness, a lack of intelligence, it makes you feel bad, and so you're less likely to put up with it. But if struggle indicates strength, an ability to face down the challenges that inevitably occur when you're trying to learn something, you're more willing to accept it. All right, and you see then I end it with quotation marks once again. Another example is here in the second body paragraph. The topic of this paragraph is kind of time management or giving yourself time to do an assignment well. Again, I start with an example from myself, and now here is the quote that I use. Again, I introduce the source. In a video you watched, Stephen Chu said, "It's a myth that learning is fast. Truly comprehending material takes careful reading and, more importantly, review." Okay, so there's the quote from Stephen Chu. Then I said, I used to try to get reading done as fast as I could and then not look back at it. I learned that would not cut it in college. In college, good teachers test for comprehension, how well you understand the concept. You simply don't get that if you memorize isolated facts. All right, so now instead of, when I quoted from Chu the second time, instead of doing a Chu says, which I just didn't think would flow well, then the other thing you can do in MLA style is to put the author's name in parentheses at the end of the article, or at the end of the sentence, I should say. So this is the other way to do a citation correctly, is to put the author's name in parentheses at the end of the sentence, at the end of the quote. One other thing, and I didn't do it in this example, I'm just realizing, is that sometimes you are just paraphrasing somebody else's idea. And so if I had just left it at this part, would be a paraphrase. If I didn't go on and have the quote, this is actually a paraphrase of the article, right? I'm giving a summary of what the article is about. I've given credit to the author, Alex Spiegel. Whenever you're doing a paraphrase or a summary of a text, whenever it's not your own ideas, you need to make sure to give credit to the author. Students especially forget this when they're working with statistics, like maybe there's, some statistic about, 30% of students fail their math class on the first try. Okay. And so if I found that statistic, I would need to say exactly where that statistic came from, right? That's not my own original research. I didn't do a study where I found that. I found it from a source. So I need to make sure to give that source credit. So what I'm really we haven't really spent a lot of time doing MLA style. What I'm looking for with this assignment is that you just give it a try to do it correctly. I'm looking for you to put in quotes anything that you have word for word, and whether you're quoting or paraphrasing, making sure to give credit to the author. So I hope that helps you start to incorporate quotes and sources into what you write.